Howdy, howdy, and welcome to another wonderful trash take. Well, reset the clock, people. We've had 0 days since the Biden administration got their hand caught in the cookie jar. Yet again, more groundbreaking information about the government being weaponized against the American people by the Democrats. The same people pointing the finger at Trump for trying to hold Comey liable for what he lied under oath for in Congress are now dead silent that Joe Biden has once again been found to have weaponized the government. Last week we had YouTube coming out basically saying what everyone knew, where YouTube was receiving requests from the Biden administration to ban people off YouTube for not violating their TOS, but because they didn't like what they were saying. And they complied. Elon Musk in the Twitter files showed the same thing happening as well. Elon said it was like a 99 to 1%, where whoever was receiving the request to remove shit on Twitter was just blanketly doing it. And they were receiving requests from the FBI as well. Intel community, don't forget about the FBI. We're coming back to that in a bit. Mark Zuckerberg admitted the same thing on the Joe Rogan podcast too, that they were censoring people at request of the Biden administration, not because what they were saying was wrong, but because they didn't want it said. This was mainly around subjects like COVID and the Hunter Biden laptop story, because they were very big Democrat talking points that hurt the Democrats massively. Hunter Biden had a laptop showing him basically smoking meth, arguing with hookers, and driving cars while high on meth. It was kind of crazy. And people try to tell me that was fake news, and it's like videos of it's like, bro, I can literally see him arguing with hookers in this video. What are we talking about? But last night, something called Arctic Frost got another revelation to it. Basically, during the probe after Trump's January 6th, and the government was weaponized against Trump, trying to charge him with anything that they possibly could, the special counsel and Jack Smith authorized wiretapping of like 6 or 8 Republican senators just cuz. They had no reason to do it. They did it because they could do it. Because the people who weaponize the government more than anyone else are Democrats. So that's been breaking news. So I'm going to play some videos of that. Here's one of the people who was actually named in the wiretapping affiliate from the FBI, because the special counsel just blatantly ordered it, and the Joe Biden Department of Justice basically said, yeah, go for it. They didn't really have a basis for it. They didn't have a reason. They just wanted to. That's the crazy part.
Member just stepped out of that hearing. What did you hear from Dan Bongino and the FBI last night on this?
Well, what I know, Bill, is that they targeted the DOJ, the Biden DOJ specifically targeted a group of...
Josh Hawley is the person currently talking. He was one of the people named on the list, and I'll show it in a second. I don't want people to see what I'm talking about.
Of us, they asked for our call records so they could see who we talked to, who called us. I believe also track our location over a period of days. This is outrageous. I mean, this is really unbelievable. It's blatantly unconstitutional.
Guys, Trump's weaponizing the Department of Justice by holding James Comey liable for what he lied under oath in Congress for. But this isn't weaponization, we promise. All the Democrats that have been saying Trump's a fascist dictator are dead silent yet again. We haven't gone a day. In fact, more information dropped today about the Biden administration, even more sketchier shit they do, and I'll get to that in a bit. But it's been like day after day after day of groundbreaking revelation about how weaponization of the government's actually been coming from Democrats all along. Who could have guessed?
Well, it's a violation of the First Amendment. It's a violation of the separation of powers. And it also goes to show you the extent to which the Biden administration was so corrupt, using the FBI to target their political enemies. And
just like Hillary Clinton did in 2016, where they wiretapped Trump Tower to try to dig up dirt on Trump, didn't find anything, and then leaked the fact that they wiretapped Trump Tower to the media for the Russian Collusion hoax. That was made up by Hillary Clinton's campaign. The FBI agreed to it, or the CIA, one of those two agencies, and then they leaked their investigation on the fake memo that they knew was fake to use that as proof that it was a Russian asset. I want people to understand that. The Democrats did this back in 2016 and nothing happened. I'm really hoping to God Trump starts charging these people with some crazy fucking shit to where they spend life in prison, because this won't change unless the people actually face consequences for their blatant ethics violations, for weaponizing the fucking government, because this is the weaponization that they're claiming Trump did.
let's not forget, they didn't just do it to senators. They did it to school board parents who went and spoke up at those school board meetings.
I forgot about that. They did that. They like totally targeted some lady and went to her house and like SEAL Team 6 raided it because they like said, because she made a fit about the school forcing a trans boy to change in the bathroom with their daughter. And they like targeted that lady because the Biden administration also got caught targeting Republican churches for IRS. The IRS was targeted and like all the churches they looked at, like 99% of them were like Catholic or Christian churches. The government's been weaponized heavily. And it's by the Democrats doing it against Republicans. And they're mad because they don't have the power anymore and they thought Trump would never win again. So their hand is caught in the fucking cookie jar, full send. And now they're going to be begging for mercy. They need the full extent of the law applied to them equally and fairly.
They did it to 92 conservative organizations, including Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA.
They did it to the conservative organizations and the churches, if I remember correctly. I might be getting that slightly wrong, but yeah.
Try to recruit spies into Catholic parishes.
I have no idea about that.
That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. Bill, we need a total investigation, a thorough investigation into everybody who was responsible, and I think there needs to be prosecutions.
Oh. I want that to happen too. That's fair. These people use their positions of power to illegally spy on American citizens just because they could. They violated your right to privacy, which is a big thing in America. It is. And they're blatantly doing it because they're Democrats and their empathy's telling them to. Here's the full list that the Biden Department of Justice, the FBI, basically decided to, at the bequest of Jack Smith for Operation Arctic Frost. They fully wiretapped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Republican senators just because they could. Just because they could. And it's a toll analysis, which basically means they neural network map everything. They see who you're texting. They see who that person's texting. They're tracking your locations. They did it for political dirt. There's no other logical reason. They say like sensitive investigation matter, but it didn't. It had nothing to do with the Trump January 6th shit. None of these individuals had anything to do with it. They just did it because they could. Because they thought that Trump would never win an election, that they'd never be held liable for their actions, which is why Joe Biden gave pardons to a bunch of people on the January 6th committee before he left office. And also, there's something else with those pardons, because that's interesting. I bring that up. But Joe Biden also pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, all the way back to 2016, if y'all remember correctly. So let's take a look at this document. This is the official pardon of Joe Biden. This is to his son, Robert Hunter Biden. Official and full unconditional pardon for these offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part of during the period of January 1st, 2014 to December 1st, 2024. 14. Now, you might be asking, that's a long date range. Why would he do that? And I can tell you the answer. This was common knowledge. This was actually common knowledge, but people didn't know about it because the FBI didn't release it, and it took someone with an IQ of 40 to put the dots together. There's a visit that Joe Biden actually did that basically explains it here. This is from the GOP Oversight Committee. They've been very thorough. They explained how Joe Biden was receiving money from foreign powers abroad in bribes over like $1 million. They were going to his son, Hunter Biden, and then he would disperse it to his family in loan repayment. But no one ever got charged with it. And the reason why is because Joe Biden was the fucking president when it was going down. But this is Joe Biden speaking. I spoke with the VP/NSA and he would strongly prefer not to report, or the report not be dismented. Thanks for understanding. What report? The report of corruption. U.S. Vice President came to Kiev almost exclusively to give a generic speech and had no intention of discussing sensitive matters with these individuals. However, the media scrutiny alleged ties the Vice President's family to corrupt business practices in Ukraine. Evidence of a double standard with the United States government toward the matter of corruption and political power. Joe Biden went to Ukraine to pressure the politician to drop the investigation on his son. This happened in 2016. 2016. The pardon goes all the way back to 2014. That's when his son started using his dad's office as vice president, because he was vice president under Obama, to get favors for his family. And then Joe Biden, right before the administration ended, went there and told him to stop investigating the corruption. And even the people pointed out, hey, this is a pretty big double standard from America to point this out. This is the Biden administration abusing their power all the way back to 2016, which is why his son received a pardon to 2014. I'm connecting the dots very clearly here because this was information everyone already knew. It's just there wasn't the unclassified documentation to show it. Which brings me to this meme. I wake up. Democrats do something blatantly illegal. GOP politicians are outraged. And nothing happens. We're right here on the cycle, boys. We're right here on the cycle. This is what comes next. I don't want this to come next, but this is what comes next. Joe Biden successfully ran the biggest scam campaign known to mankind. I can't wait till Kash Patel actually posts the receipts on all these mail-in ballots, because they're saying China ballot harvested and then voted for Joe Biden en masse, which is why he had like 7 million more votes than Donald Trump. He was the most voted president in the history of elections. The 2020 election results had 81 million votes going to Joe Biden and 74 million votes going to Donald Trump. A lot of people are saying these are illegals that were able to vote in the elections, and I'll tell you how. Look at the superintendent of Maryland. He was a registered Democrat who was receiving absentee ballots in the mail. He didn't have to prove citizenship. He merely had to get a driver's license, which Maryland gave out to illegals to register to vote. That's all he needed. That is all he needed. That's what they're saying China has been doing. They've been using these Democrat states where they're pretty dog shit to allow them to get licensed in these states, and then some states allow you to transfer your driver's license from one state to another one to get a new license, which you can then use to register to vote, bypassing the need of Social Security and proving residency in the United States. Because only Democrat states have loopholes that are blatantly this obvious in their system. That's what Kash Patel is alleging. Right now, there has been no evidence to show that. I just want to say there's tons of, look, they're weaponizing the government against us. Oh, we can't prove it, and now it's being proved. So I want to let people know this is in the near future coming out, because I'm at this point a firm believer that that's going to happen. Just to reiterate, I want anyone weaponizing the government for their own political gain in jail till the end of time. I want them in jail their entire life. That or charged with treason and hung on publicly executed. The only way America gets better is if politicians fear the corruption of their actions. That's solely how this changes. James Comey basically lied under oath. I want him to have his day in court. The fact that Democrats are calling that an abuse of power, but then said no one's above the law when Trump's 33 misdemeanors got turned into a 33 felonies is fucking crazy. You have a complete double standard from the Democrats because it's different. They give their people a full pass every single time. And I can point directly to Jay Jones in Virginia. He now has more text messages of not only him wishing his political opponent's kids to die brutally and for him to be able to execute his political opponent, but also for cops to be murdered more, so maybe they'll be more hesitant when arresting people. You have absolute unhinged vile behavior from Democrats back to back to back, and the best part is, they're not even condemning Jay Jones. In fact, you've had multiple Democrats come out in full support of Jay Jones now. Fucking crazy to me. Fucking crazy. Democrats have successfully mastered the art of scamming everyone and weaponizing the system to the full extent that they possibly can. Unfortunately, they honestly thought Trump would go to jail and then their evil would never be exposed to the world. And I'm praying to God Trump doesn't do what he did with Hillary Clinton, where he basically was going to pardon her if she was found guilty. By the way, James Comey dropped those charges on Hillary Clinton. I want to make that extremely clear. She was found with thousands of classified emails on an unclassified server and then found destroying evidence after she was subpoenaed for that information. And they didn't charge her with anything. She would have gone to jail for life if she was a regular American citizen working at any company with classified information, by the way. She would have gone to jail for life. But because she's a Democrat, it's different. James Comey, no one's above the law. I expect him to have his day in court, and I expect it to come out, and that'll be the will of the people. If the jury decides that he's not guilty, the jury can be retarded, and that's the downsides of society. That's why you have people like Asmongold that are going viral on social media for saying 85% of people need to lose the right to vote. The reason why is because retards electing these Democrats into positions of power where they're clearly mentally deficient and are doing everything in their power to get you killed as fast as humanly possible. We are having back-to-back-to-back cases of 34 times murderer is released from prison and murders someone. We had a homeless guy that's a crazed homeless guy with a bunch of misdemeanor charges, arrested like 40 times, murder a girl from Ukraine on a train. We had another dude with 25 felonies who broke into some sorority girl's house and killed her. We have a dude who, in fact, murdered a 6-year-old, stabbed him in the head, and then was found too mentally insane to stand trial for murder, but was found mentally sane enough to stand trial for assault. And he was just released from prison for a 20-year sentence that he only served 10 years on. And it's now being reported that the people who weighed in on his parole didn't even consider the fact that he murdered the kid because he wasn't found guilty of it. They didn't even acknowledge whether or not he was mentally sane now. They just said that it didn't have any issue with it. You have Democrats and these Karens in society that are letting out fucking violent murderers for fun. And if you remove the voting rights of 85% of the populace, that would fix itself overnight. Holy shit. America is falling apart right now because there are so many flagrant retards out there in the streets. I have that video of that retarded lady who parked their vehicle in front of the ICE facility in LA, then just starts yelling at them incoherently and then gets mad when she gets arrested for it. The louder you are, the dumber you are, the more successful you are as an American is what it seems to me. And it's pretty fucking sad. But yeah, I want Joe Biden tried for treason at this point. Like, weaponizing the DOJ against conservatives, weaponizing the DOJ against Republican senators, using his power as president to write a pardon to his son for illegal deeds going all the way back to 2014, and now being exposed that he used his power as vice president back in the day to pressure the politicians in Ukraine not to investigate his son, and then we go to war, and then Ukraine goes to war with Russia, and then Joe Biden's pumping out infinite support for Ukraine after they dropped the charges on the corruption in his son in Ukraine. Isn't that interesting, guys? Isn't that interesting? The tinfoil hats were proven right yet again. I give it another week before there's some other crazy shit, before the administration shows that the Democrats are in fact weaponizing the government a million times X of what they're accusing the Republicans to do. Because no one's above the law unless it's a Democrat that does it. Then all of a sudden, it's weaponization. Yeah, but thank you guys very much for tuning in. This has been like festering on my brain for a while. It's one of those, like, these people can't be that stupid, but they are. They are. That's the funny part. They are that stupid. They openly did this because they never expected to be held liable for their actions. And I want them fully charged to the full extent of the law. Because this won't stop unless people start facing the consequences of their crimes. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you liked the video, feel free to like it, comment down below, or subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Until then, later.